My question is about what is the approach of Muslims to postmodernism and poststructuralism,
Very,
and
very
like
good, brother.
how do we navigate, for example, Jacques Derrida's theories on language, and how does that link towards tafsir?
Right, you're talking about grammology, yeah? His book.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, obviously, postmodernist understandings of language.
First, can you define post-structuralism,
Right.
postmodernism?
Postmodernism is an ideology, okay, which aims to disassemble or otherwise take apart grand narratives, meta-narratives. So the thing is with postmodernism is that because its main objective is to break apart grand narratives, sometimes when a postmodernist, like for example a third wave feminist, attempts to put forward prescriptions, and it's a shot in the foot because they are creating what they initially attempted to destroy, which is some kind of a narrative. But that's the main thing of postmodernism, is their definitions of power and truth is not centralized, objective and absolute, or objective and or absolute. And so they see truth as kind of like a fog. So someone like Michael Foucault would see it like that. Derrida would probably see it like that. It's not something which can be put into, or you put your finger on it like that. And so for those reasons, they don't believe a truth exists in and of itself like that. Their theories of language differ, to be honest, and a lot of them have evolved their understanding. Derrida now, neo-pragmatists and postmodernists are coming together in strange ways. Richard Rorty has written much about language and how it can be manipulated and how it means it's coherent in and of itself and doesn't have any meaning outside of itself or out into the real world. We won't accept anything like that because we believe that there is a truth. There's a truth outside and independent from what people say it is. So if I say the truth is X and actually Y is the case, then Y is the case. Whereas postmodernists conflate between one's own subjectivity sometimes and the truth of a proposition another time. It's because their theory of truth is not centralized. And so from that perspective, we don't agree with the postmodernists at all. In fact, it's impossible to agree with postmodernists and still maintain the meta-narrative of Islam, let alone, all the things that the Quran states is our realities in the real world, not as part of someone's personal subjectivity or existential reality. So I would say that certainly we are against postmodernism from that perspective, but postmodernists can be useful sometimes as a diagnostic tool or as a means to criticize the opposition. But that must be done carefully, and we could look at their criticisms, but a lot of the time they go too far for what we would consider reasonable doubt. Hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it does. Jazakallah khairan. One thing I would like to ask is that how do we respond to it? Because it's quite difficult to respond to something like that, right? Something that doesn't even believe in truth, So do you know any arguments we could charge against them?
They're not looking for arguments to be charged against them, because the moment they make the argument themselves against you, have to be a counter puncher in this scenario. You don't wait for you don't try and destroy a tornado, because a tornado is self-destructing. So the best arguments against postmodernists are postmodernist arguments, because a lot of what they claim is the case for other ideologies is applicable to their own, and is applicable for anything that they come afterwards and say. Especially if they all you have to do is just really wait and see if they make any moral claims. If the moment a postmodernist, someone who's defined themselves as a postmodernist, makes a single moral claim, then you can take them apart with their own ideology. If they say something is wrong, and now you can take them apart with their own ideology. You can explain to them how their own articulation is based on some kind of grand narrative of some sorts, probably a Western construction, and you can explain to them using their own ideology why they're wrong. So it's like it is a double. Postmodernism is the ultimate double-edged sword. So you need to be aware of how they navigate, and it's not about destroying postmodernism. It's more about taking out postmodernists, because postmodernists cannot reasonably maintain their position of postmodernism without contradicting themselves. Unless they want to just say we don't know and have a completely agnostic position, which in that case they can't do anything to you. They're a toothless dog because they can't bite you. They can't make a case against your religion if it's a moral case or something like that. They can only say it's a meta-narrative and blah, 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 blah. But then you start taking their criticisms and show them how that is itself as part of a meta-narrative according to their own criterion. So I would use postmodernism to actually let it destroy itself. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.